Well, really pleased to say that Steve Evans has joined us after an incredibly busy week. Time to sit down and give us an update. I know you've been rushed off your feet really since the publication of the club's retained list. What's been your main focus and priorities since that was published?
I think it started before that, Phil. And you're right to say it's been a busy week speaking to current players that are obviously waiting in the situation regarding offers from us. New prospective players setting up meetings to talk football, not offers to talk football. Lots of in and out meetings with the chairman. All these meetings, of course, done at an acceptable, in line with the acceptable guidelines, in terms of social distancing, etc., and doing it properly. And showing players around the facilities at Priestfield, showing them around the training ground. So, as I said in the press earlier this week, the different media, putting the ducks in a row so we can be ready to act quickly when we eventually, whenever it is, get this date from the EFL.
So with some players, you have actually been able to meet them in person, whereas perhaps this time last month, that might have been a touch difficult.
Yeah, it has been. Yeah, it's been. I've obviously met with the boys who are coming out of contract. Obviously, young Reagan has gone off up to Scotland. We've been on messaging each other a few times, and we really hope he does well. He's a great, as I said before, when he left, he's a great kid. We're still waiting to get answers really in principle from the likes of Max Hamer, the likes of Brandon Hanlon, the likes of Mika Mandrin, but they'll take the course and go where they go. And of course, it's my job to make sure we're putting that competitive squad together. And so I've identified players that that would come in within the outline of budgets that our chairman's looking at. And of course, that can all change depending if we get, which we should be getting, the help from either the Premier League or the Premier League and the government or the government. And I love the art. I love going to the theatre, as you know. I love, I can be seen in art galleries on days off, etc. with my wife. But I'm looking now and saying, well, we give 1.6 billion to the arts, and here we are. We are the home of football, aren't we? England is the home of football, and it needs a lot of that help. But I'm assuming that will come. I'm sure Rick Parry, who I think has spoken to many times, good guy, a lot of good people on the EFL board, and I'm sure they're working very hard. What I'm told is a very supportive Premier League. I've spoken to the senior people at West Ham, for example. I've spoken to the senior people at Southampton. I've spoken to the senior people at Arsenal, and they're all, without saying it, alluding to the fact that they would be doing nothing else than supporting the EFL.
Which is good news to hear. You just touched on the players who you're waiting responses from, Max, Brandon, Mikel, and of course Henry Woods. Are there offers on the table to those players, or have you still got to put something in writing formally to them and their representatives? Yeah,
we've still got to do the formal bits when it comes to money. We still have to talk to them on football, which we've done. We've been absolutely clear since the season was concluded by the EFL board when the clubs voted. We were absolutely clear in saying when we have a start date, our chairman was clear. Our chairman's got an interesting board meeting. He talks to himself in the loo and then makes his decision. But no, he owns the club. He's quite proudly 25 years. We have to stick with the strategy that the chairman and myself discussed. He outlined it. He set it. I did agree with it because I'm looking around now and I'm seeing some member Football League clubs in real trouble. I'm looking at the likes of Wigan, and you look at the state they've been in. Of course, we'll never forget Bolton, where I started as a kid, and the near miss they had to get out of business. It's great now, new manager, etc., and seems to be on the front foot. And we look at Bury, but I'm looking at all these, not all these other clubs, but I'm looking at some clubs announcing their annual returns and finances. I'm seeing the likes of Lincoln City, millions of pounds lost. I'm seeing clubs that have already been out this week. Blackpool, I think it was 2.2 million last year. When you compare our budget's not far north of £1 million, and clubs are losing over £2 million, I know they've got fantastic owners now, Lincoln and Blackpool. I'm using it as an example, and I don't mean they're in trouble, but there will be some clubs who will ultimately be in trouble if we go about inconsiderate of the strategy that needs to be said, which is we need a date to start. Yeah. We need to know if there's funding packages involved. We need to know if and when supporters might be able to come back, although we're always fearful of a spike, given people have been released every week now by the government in terms of going out of the business. But I really fear for football when I see some of the losses. So when our chairman says the strategy is that when we get a date, Steve, we can go and do a business, and it's my job to have the ducks in a row. He's well aware of them. I met some of these lads in yesterday as they were going through the building. He knows it's football chat and that's only. And we're really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to our chairman or Tom Rhodes, our chief executive, picking up the phone to those boys' representatives or those boys and putting something to them. Because I don't think there's anyone in that group who, in the right role, would want to leave or not want to join us. You know, whatever camp they sit in. So a lot of hard work going on behind the scenes, a lot of hard work going on at the stadium and the training ground. It certainly looks much slicker, clean as a whistle, call it what you like. The volunteers, I met some of them this week, Gills fans, coming of their own accord and scrubbing and jet washing and painting, and you know, I met them and they know who they are. Thank you very much. I said it to the people. If people see them or they're aware they're doing it, then thank you. We never got enough numbers. You know, I'm sitting down there. We've never got enough numbers. So if you are a Gills fan, if you're to spare, you know, from Monday to Friday, then get yourself down to Peacewood and help us. But so far, it's been fantastic. But yeah, we're in the right position. We're ready to go. I've had fantastic liaison with 2 Premier League clubs about potential loan signings. Going to follow them up with Zoom calls on Monday to arrange signings, and hopefully that takes it to the next sphere. If the word in the street is the 12th of September start, if that's correct, then our boys would be very quickly coming in for pre-season. So I know that, for example, my hometown club, Peterborough, is coming on the 20th. And I think between the manager, between Fergie, a friend of mine, and Dara McCanty, the chairman, I think they've got that pretty much spot on. So we can sit here today thinking we could be back very soon.
Obviously, September 12th isn't too far away. It's a couple of months. Do you think that's a realistic start date? If fans are not allowed inside stadiums for the start of the season, do you think we can start?
I think that's a decision for above me, for the all honesty.
Yeah.
That's a decision for chairman because it's finance, and him and Tom Lawrence control that. I think there will be an acceptance that we may have to start without supporters. But every day I'm waking up and there's more releases. You know, is a GP doctor friend of mine said to me last evening, is that where are you most likely? This virus is nasty. It is nasty, and we can only pray for those that have gone before us in dreadful circumstances. But as this GP friend of mine saying, well, where are you most likely to catch it? In the gym, which getting opened up, or in the swimming pool, very close proximity to people, or in an open air stadium, we perhaps part attendances to start with. And I said to him, I put it back on him, what do you think? He said, by thousands of percent more likely to catch it where you're in a close proximity, working hard in the gym, sweating, perspiring, as you are sitting at a football match, have the odd groan when my striker misses a chance. So it's, but we're hopeful. We're hopeful it'll be September. I tended to think it'll be the 26th. But speaking to a lot of my colleagues in the last week or so, it's tended they're leading to being told by their chief executives, maybe around the 12th.
In your view, how long will you and your fitness team require to get your players not up to just physical fitness, but 100% match fitness?
I think, in all honesty, I regard myself as an experienced manager, not the best manager, but a very experienced manager. Probably as experienced than most, not all, but as most in the EFL. And I would say it's unprecedented. We've heard that word all too often, but it is unprecedented. You know, we're talking the players have not played since the 23rd of March, and or since we come off into the 23rd of March. It's a long, long time. So we're probably talking 6 months, 5, 6 months. The boys have not been playing football. But the idea, listen, for me, it'll be 7, 8 weeks. Some clubs will take a bit longer. We'll probably look at a 7-week plan. And, you know, the one thing we know from the benefits of the likes of Zoom, the benefits of the lads' pride as well, that the boys are sending in data all the time and people are quickly just looking at it. And the boys that we've got are keeping themselves in good shape. And certainly the boys I spoke to in the last 2 or 3 days in terms of prospective players, they're keeping themselves in good shape too.
Of course, at this time of season, pre-season, you've normally got a chart set out. That's who we're playing on this day. We've got a pre-season training camp on this week. That's when the boys are doing their individual tests. Have you sort of accepted that maybe this year you won't be able to do your usual fitness camp external from the club? Do you think most of your work will be contained inside Priestfield and the training ground?
we actually have some plans in place with approximate dates to go to France, and the club has been there many times. But I'm going over next week to look at the facilities. I'm just going over on my own just to do a private trip in the recce to have a look at the conditions of the pitches, etc. Make sure they're right for us.
Yep.
We have some provisional dates for that, and of course I've got 6 or 7 pre-season games in our head. Again, all levels from top end of non-league through to the Premier League, and they'll be closed door, I would assume. But you never know in this world how quickly it changes. But we've already got not specific dates, but specific opposition.
So, judging by what you just said, you're kind of waiting for one major thing now, and that's for the EFL to announce when we're due to start the new season, because that's when you can start formulating your plans in terms of getting the players back, line up your players to try and get people signed. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely. You know, the film was, the chairman was in receipt of some documentation. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday of this week, days are flying by, which he shared with me, which was really a structure to look at the 2 scenarios from the Football League. How the 29th of August start, which I think everyone's thinking is too early, given when the Championship will finish and given those lads will still need a break and all have come back into it. Certainly the people that's contesting in the League One final, like the Oxford and Wickham, if they're successful, how do they go about assembling a squad very quickly, as they'll need to do? Because neither squad will be good enough to be competitive in the Championship, but both managers are saying very good players. I know both managers well. So, we just need that date. And the paper we've got on 29th of August or 12th of September. That's why most managers are alluding to perhaps it's going to be the 12th of September. But obviously all the chairmen have to vote on that. And I'm never one for clue or second guess what each chairman of every Football League club is going to do. Because as our chairman made clear, in the terms of the Football League, that it's 72 or 71 businesses that is today, when we see Barrow come up and quite rightfully champions coming up, we see 72 teams in here, then from that perspective, it's 72 individual businesses that people will vote as they see fit.
But suffice to say, you've got your targets in mind, you know the sporting directors, you know their agents, you're ready when that date is announced.
Absolutely. I've got a number of players that I'm very keen to talk to, that I'll be in touch with over the weekend, because I'll have to do it in stages. The one thing we've assured, we could normally meet 3, 4, 5 players in a day, say at Priestfield or whatever the venue is. And what we've had to do is to limit that a couple per day, because you have to them an hour and a half apart, and in between times the office gets cleaned down by the chairman's appointed someone to come in and we all leave and it gets cleaned up. And it's a brilliant operation to say. We're really being so professional at it. You know, you'd never think about it before. You would literally take 1 cup of water or 1 bottle of water or 1 cup of coffee away, and another one would come in for the next player that you're trying to get in the door. So we're in good shape. We know where we are. You know, I said it before, and I came out vocally before and said in 1 or 2 of yourself when you asked me the question, I wasn't interested in certain players. The players that I've spoken to, the players that I've inquired to about on loans, etc., no one has mentioned their names. So all the speculation the Gills fans have seen up until Friday, and we're at 5:30, 5:45 on Friday evening, all the ones have been brought to my attention by yourself and by my assistant manager saying, Gaffer, there is none of that we're interested in.
Cool. Well, thank you for clearing that up. Fans.
Those are not good players. So maybe affordability, and maybe we can't afford them. It may be that geography. There's a number of reasons, but there's no one second guess the players that we're talking to.
Well, suffice to say, if you want the fans to know, you'll let them know, won't you? That's been your policy from the start. So.
Yeah, I think I've always been honest. Whether I was back in Crawley, Rotherham, you know, Leeds, Manchester, Peterborough, the Gills, you just have to be upfront and honest. And I know once or twice you learn your lessons. Once or twice I get caught by talking to journalists, etc., and a name would come out, and suddenly it's in the press, and that I'd be on the phone saying, Steve, what? Yeah, and he was right, 100%. And I'm experienced, so you learn from that. So it really is, if it gets out, it's a Paul Rayner, it's a Paul Scally, or myself, or the players. We can't take away his agents. Agents have to play a game, don't they? They have to create a market for their players. And I see us linked with certain players. In fact, there was one player about 2 or 3 weeks ago that I did have a conversation about I'd have been interested in. There's a young man who went from Crewe, Jamie Jones, who went to Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
But the deal was done before I could pick up the phone a second time. So Michael Appleton's got himself an outstanding young player.
You mentioned the two teams that are yet to finish their seasons, and of course they're Oxford United and Wycombe Wanderers. They contest the League One playoff final in due course. You're the pundit inside the Sky Sports studio, and you're having to pass comment on who's going to win. What are you thinking?
Well, I think I made my opinion 2 weeks ago. The channel that you've just spoke of on Sky Sports is I cannot upset Gareth Ainsworth. We've been friends for as long as I've ever met. What a nice guy Gareth is. We have a great relationship. I know his mum and dad well. I think we've spoken about it before. I can remember being the Leeds United coach. Gareth ringing me up when they couldn't afford to pay their players' wages and asked me in a national week, could I convince the club, Leeds United, to go and play at Wycombe on a Friday evening? And we did that. And they got a lot of pennies in that night by the travelling Leeds support, as they always do, and they got through. So we have a close relationship. But I've also got a very respectful relationship with Carl Robinson at Oxford too. And I think, if I'm being honest, when I looked at the season over the whole at the end of it, I had a conversation with our chairman and I said, for me, if it worked itself out, the three best teams that we've played would be Coventry City by far number one, by far. Brilliant job with Rob, but we've had awards in the past, but he's a good manager. The second one would have been Oxford.
Yep.
They gave us an absolute drubbing at the Exam Stadium, and we were fortunate to nick a draw in the home game. And I think without doubt, Rotherham, my old club at the Millers, I think they came to Prince Field. They probably scored against another player, to be honest. We were on top, but when they scored, you've seen the quality come through. So at the start of the playoffs, Paul Rayner fancied Pompey, and I just felt if I was playing against either team of the four of them in the playoffs, I would have said it. I didn't want to play Oxford. That would have been the team that I would have said, let's keep away from. But it takes nothing away from Wycombe Wanderers and what Gaffer's done. They are. I spoke to him before the playoffs. I said, you're the one team that no one speaks about, no one gives a chance to. You're also the one team that they can do it. And I wish both managers well. It's whoever goes up ultimately will have deserved to go up. And I'm sure I'll be on the phone congratulating either one.
Gaffer, thank you very much for that. We appreciate your update.
Pleasure.